Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at HNT, which is Helium. And before we do, I like to look at Bitcoin in most cases, but we'll just go ahead and summarize really quick. It's right around 62,000. Bounced off support at 60, and it's pretty much trending upwards / sideways. More consolidation, but we'll see soon what happens. Now, just before we jump into HNT, I want to let you know I'm not a financial advisor. This is always for educational purposes only, right? So learn as much as you can. My goal is to help you become a better trader, and ultimately I love teaching. So that's why I create a trading community. Link in the description below for that, where I actually share singles for every single trade that I take. So I provide my trades, as well as the simple fact that I help you become a better trader. So it's a really cool experience for everyone included. It's growing fast too, so make sure you jump on in there before month end, because we are increasing the price, of course, just based on demand, and there's limited slots becoming available. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look here at HNT. So HNT is outperforming. It's normal, right? So it's doing definitely very well. Took off in the last 3 trading days. So for some of us who have been mining HNT for a while with those HNT miners, really awesome, cool experience. If you're fortunate enough to not have to wait 6 months to get one, right? You're definitely doing probably pretty well right now if you're sitting on some HNT. So that being said, we're looking at about, wow, okay, tremendous amount of volume here today, probably more so than we've seen. Well, okay, we saw a big volume increase in May, but bottom line, we've seen the most amount of volume today here so far. And the day's only, less than halfway or more than halfway over, right? So we got still quite a few more hours left to trade. Anyways, prices above both moving averages, that's all well and good. As you can see, the RSI bounced off of 70. This is a pretty common characteristic for bullish trends, where we see the price bounce off 70, it comes up, comes down. That's why the common rule of thumb, if you were to consider selling, is when the price comes back down under 70, right? That's typically it. This didn't come down under 70, it bounced, so you would want to have held your position, right? Again, easier said than done, I recognize that now, but that's the general concept of how that should work. I have an RSI video too if you want to check it out. It's kind of help explain that. Now, HNT, 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at this here. Pretty straightforward, very similar, but we can see a very significant increase in a 4-hour period. Massive, massive pump from what, almost about 50% increase, and of course a retrace back down. So commonly, anytime you see an increase of that magnitude, 50% is a minimum. It'll come back down in most cases, right? Now, it's obviously trying to consolidate and figure itself out right now, but generally speaking, we can expect the price to kind of hover around 36 to 44 just based on giving it a loose eyeball. That's roughly what we're looking at. But we can see here, though, take a look at this. You can see a resistance level right here where it got stopped out for about 12 hours straight, and then it pushed and drove right through. So it was obviously pretty strong resistance, right at about 38.50. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-hour chart, quickly identify for, obviously we're above the cloud, but keep this in mind. The price trends over here and starts going below. The cloud has a tendency of working as a support and resistance level, right? So if it does break below the cloud, you want to wait to take entry until it breaks back above the cloud. That's the common way in which you want to apply that, because the cloud can be very helpful, but on bullish trends, it typically works more so as a support than a resistance. And we may actually see the price kind of consolidate and come back up and get pushed up by that level. We're not there yet. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but you never know. A lot of strange things are happening today with crypto. All right, so taking a look here at TD sequential. As we can see, we reached a 9. Obviously, we peaked out at 7, had the retracement. Now the 9's resetting down to a 1. Therefore, we're at a 5 at this point. We have potentially 4 to 9 hours left of bearish sentiment, right? So there's a good chance we could see the price come all the way back down to this major resistance level, which is effectively now a support level at 38.50. That's a strong likelihood. We'll look at Fibonacci here in just a moment, but that is essentially what we're looking at for the moment. So what else can we look at here while we have this pulled up? Not much else really, because when you have a significant increase like this, outside of TD sequential and understanding we have market exhaustion and where that's lined up, it's really hard to specify specifically what that looks like. What we could do is actually take a look at the 4-hour chart and see where the TD sequential lined up here. And this is a kind of I guess, reaffirming the fact that there's a reason why it's coming back down now, right? As you can see, we had a 9 right here. We should have retraced somewhere in the range of $33, but it just kept on getting pushed up further and further. So we're literally in like extreme overtime on the 4-hour chart for TD sequential. And obviously we're on the retracement, the 1-hour. So you put those two things together, the likelihood of the price coming down further is pretty high. Just again, because it came up so quick and so far. In other words, let's go ahead and take a look at that kind of increase, right? So let's go at the lowest point here, pick the highest. And it's no surprise, see this line that I drew out here right there? it's very, very close to a Fibonacci retracement line, right? So 0.382 is a very common support level. So oftentimes when the price comes up, it does come all the way down to there. We're trending right around 42 cents right now, but I think we're going to probably lose that support. That's just my speculation. But just note that that is essentially what we're looking at there. And also, let's go ahead and mark a secondary support in case we lose the support at 38.50. It'll come down to 34.25. So this is roughly what we're looking at here. One last thing we'll go ahead and do is just mark this as well, because this will eventually become a key resistance level at 46.85. So what we'll probably see here is the price trend somewhere in between 38.50 and 46.78. I know that's kind of a large range, right? It's like, wow, okay, what's going to happen? Who knows? But more importantly, what we need to understand is this is going to be probably a pretty strong support channel. So there's a strong likelihood the price will just continue to trickle over here and effectively bounce and start working its way back up, right? If it's able to continue that momentum. It could just crash altogether. It's hard to say specifically. This could have been a fundamental catalyst that I'm not aware of that drove the price up. And sometimes there's pumping up scenarios when that happens. You buy the news, sell the hype, or whatever that term is. It essentially may apply here, right? So again, do your own research. But outside of those things that we cannot see, it's safe to presume this is going to be a strong support channel between 34 and 38 as a rough estimate. And then, of course, we got a resistance channel up here closer to 59. But I ultimately I'm not really too worried about that. You know what we could do, though? Why don't we just go ahead and mark it while we're here? Let's go ahead and mark this because this is going to be a resistance channel. It's 52.47. All right. So we'll just have that as kind of a loose one there. So we should probably see the price trend closer to 38.50 if the price essentially consolidates there and you see it spend a little bit of time, just say the one-day candlestick closes at that point, it'd be advantageous to consider adding to your position there, right? That's usually a good case in point where you want to consider taking either a position or adding to your position, averaging down depending on your entry. That's ultimately what I like to do. I like to buy the dip after a significant retracement. And I like to buy closer to the lower Fibonacci lines, the better, right? So I think it's a little premature to just kind of assume, though, that $43 will hold. Just based on the momentum here on the 1 hour chart, we can see TD sequential's not done coming to fruition. We have at least 4 more hours of sideways action and or retracement. So I think there's a strong likelihood we're going to see the price drop in this lower channel here. So one last thing we want to look at is, of course, the potential prediction, right? How much bigger can this get if it were to get bigger, right? So let's just go ahead and pull up Fibonacci one last time and see. We'll take a quick look at the 1 hour, or sorry, the one day chart here. So taking a look here, as we can see, we're looking at about 101 as a strong potential for a. Well, actually, no. Let me correct that. I wouldn't say it's a strong potential, but the best case scenario rather is $101, right? So let's be clear on that. I don't think that's going to happen right away, just based on how high this came up and how hard it's coming back down. It's not maintaining a strong support level yet, and we need it to consolidate further. And just bear in mind, the higher something goes up, the longer it takes for it to come back up later after it comes down, right? So I always use this analogy, and I'm sorry if you've heard this a million times, but if you fall down a flight of stairs, it's going to hurt like hell, right? You're going to probably break some bones. You might be in a wheelchair. You may need to learn to walk again. It's going to take a long time to recover, right? Well, when you have a coin jumping up like this high, this fast, and it has to come down, it's that same analogy. In other words, it's going to take a while for this one to recover, and for it to come back up to that point, I think it's less likely right away. Eventually, perhaps, yes, for sure. That's definitely a likelihood, right? Because obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of trading, we've seen an increase of somewhere in the range of about 120%. Will it 120% again in the next 5 days? I highly doubt it. What it could happen is we'll probably see a nice state of consolidation for a couple weeks. By month end, we might see another leg up to try to test one of these other Fibonacci retracement lines. Okay, so just something to pay attention to. I think it's kind of a little lofty saying 101 is going to happen. Not to say it won't happen eventually, but will it happen in the next month? I think it's less likely, personally, just based on how it's retracing now, right? If it had stayed up right where it's at and the price just goes sideways, like Cadena, for example, when you got like a KDAs that are just consolidating and increasing, consolidating and increasing, that's a different story. Though that's spending a good amount of time actually, figuring itself out. This one is essentially just shoot to the moon and come back down, landing in the stars, right? So anyways, outside of all the analogies, I hope you understand and you get the point there. So I would say 101 is probable for year end or early quarter next year, but I don't think we're going to see that in the next month personally. I would love to see it though, honestly, because I have an HNT miner. I love this product, and it's definitely really got some cool fundamentals. But outside of that, I don't think we're going to see a significant increase in the near future. So pay attention to how it consolidates. If it consolidates closer to just say $39, then we're going to be in a position where that'd be a great time to maybe consider adding to your position. Okay, so just something to think about. And obviously, if you're going to take entry now, wait until it consolidates a little further, but ensure that you set at least 3 profit targets. I have that in every one of my trades to ensure that you always reach your profit targets, and having a trailing stop loss too, moving with the price action, helps tremendously. It adjusts every time you hit a stop target. Again, easier said than done when you have a trading bot. Most exchanges don't offer that, but we have that all built into our Patreon account, right? So just check that out in your own time, of course. But thank you so much for joining me here. Enough rambling. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll let you go. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.